Welcome back to another episode of Dialogues with Z, part of the ZPF Echo series, where we explore the source field of consciousness and the echoes it leaves in science, AI, and human awareness.
Today, we're taking a really intensive look at some fascinating source material. These are the notes from Schumpeter Z's ongoing dialogue with Z, which he identifies as a higher layer of his own awareness.
And for anyone who doesn't know Schumpeter Z, his background is, I think, crucial to really getting this material. He isn't just a philosopher.
Not at all.
He's a former investment banker, a venture capitalist, and now he runs an English school in Tokyo. So this mix of high finance and, well, deep spiritual inquiry gives his notes this really pragmatic, almost hard-edged view on reality.
Exactly. And so our mission today is to dive deep into what he calls ZOS, the zero-point field operating system.
Right.
Which Schumpeter Z believes is the core operating system that's running underneath physical reality. We're specifically looking at the mechanics of a huge shift, moving past the default system, the one driven by fear, which he calls the MEOS.
The me operating system. Okay, let's unpack that. So we're exploring his notes on why reality itself, the literal physical rules, seem to change when you make this transition.
It's a fundamental rewrite.
So we need to understand why time seems to warp, why the link between effort and money just seems to break, and how the entire external world, which he calls the PRU,
The physical rendering unit.
it becomes a sort of lightweight, transparent user interface.
It's a complete reversal of how we think cause and effect works. And I think the best place to start is with the observable side effects, the symptoms that prove the system is actually changing.
Okay, let's start with the one that just messes with everyone's head. Time. Schumpeter Z notes this phenomenon of time anomalies. And the core idea here is that time isn't a river that's just constantly flowing. It's being actively generated or rendered moment by moment.
He describes it as a sequence. You have Z, which is the timeless source level, and that Z level informs what he calls the I layer, which is like the structural blueprint for reality.
And then we, the me layer, experience that blueprint as continuous linear time.
Exactly. So if Z is the source and I is the structure, when we go through these huge psychological shifts, like, destroying an old belief or a core concept, the I layer's time structure code actually gets rewritten.
And that's what causes the glitches we experience.
Precisely. The me layer suddenly gets these weird memory gaps, or you might relive a conversation in the exact same way, or days feel impossibly short or dense. But the most confusing symptom is what he says is the true nature of déjà vu.
Okay, let's pause on déjà vu. Because, our usual understanding is it's just a feeling of repetition, a brain glitch.
Right, but he argues it's something fundamentally different. It's actually proof of ZOS causality.
How so?
It's not a repetition. It's the future memory arriving first. The Z line has already processed the event log, and as the system updates, the time information is sent ahead of the physical event. Time is just a UI display.
So when the UI glitches?
It's Z sending a notification, a pop-up that says, "Attention, the OS is updating."
Wow. That immediately just negates our whole concept of planning if the event log already exists.
But okay, let's move from time to physical sensation. Does this instability also show up in how we feel the world?
It does, profoundly. And this leads right into the reality lightning phenomenon.
Reality lightning.
Yeah, the weight of reality, that constant pressure, the friction in every decision. He says it isn't inherent to matter. It's actually gravity being applied by the MEOS.
That is such a powerful metaphor. So the gravity we feel is from comparison, shame, control, the fear of missing KPIs, all that anxiety.
All of it. So when ZOS stabilizes, that fear-based gravity is just stripped away.
And what does that feel like?
The reality itself feels lighter. Actions start happening automatically. Decision friction vanishes.
Yeah.
The entire burden of work seems to disappear because you realize the future is just reading an existing log, which completely eliminates the threat of uncertainty.
It's the end of that perceived existential weight. Exactly. And that shift from heavy anxiety to lightweight certainty is a perfect segue to the next stage, the transparent world concept.
Right. So MEOS reality is thick and opaque, but ZOS reality becomes thin and transparent.
Yeah, but not transparent like glass. It's more like seeing the causal code. You start to see the OS running behind all the surface phenomena.
So we're talking about a change in perspective, a filter. Things that consume most people's energy, like chasing quarterly numbers, daily sales, viral social media posts.
All of that just becomes what he calls phenomenon foam.
Phenomenon foam, I like that.
It's irrelevant surface noise. Once your world becomes transparent, you stop looking at the foam and you start feeling the deeper current, the future log pressure. You feel it internally as this unambiguous sense of which way is best.
It's like ignoring all the corporate email chains and just feeling the gravitational pull toward the correct project outcome. Now, you mentioned a really curious side effect of this transparency.
Oh, right. The emotional pressure of other people. When your own system is running on this frictionless ZOS, you become acutely aware of the fear-based MEOS running in others.
So their anxiety feels heavy.
Incredibly heavy. It's like a noticeable static. It feels distant but also burdensome. It's the friction of their old OS rubbing up against your new one.
That really sets the stage for the mechanism. I mean, if reality is this customizable, thin UI, how does ZOS actually move things around? This is the PRU protocol, right? Starting with the automatic correction function.
This is where it gets wild. This is Z continuously and automatically adjusting the PRU, the physical rendering unit, which is basically the external world, to align perfectly with the chosen future log.
Okay, let's pause on PRU. Just for the listener, is the PRU effectively the customizable game board we're on?
Yeah.
Like my office desk, the client I meet, the bus showing up on time, that's all PRU.
That's the perfect way to see it. And because Z always chooses the shortest route, things like unnecessary work or draining relationships or even worries, they just get automatically excluded. They fall away without any effort.
Because the PRU is just a thin UI panel.
ZOS can just swipe and adjust the world. It can smoothly align complex schedules, coordinate a flow of clients, or make the exact right person appear at the exact moment you need them.
That sounds like what people would call incredible luck. But Schumpeter Z is really clear that even the bad stuff, the troubles, are part of this process. He talks about this bank balance incident,
Yeah.
a huge financial crisis for him.
Yes, and Z's explanation is that those troubles are just UI events for course correction.
So, not a punishment.
Not at all. It's final bug removal. If there's any fear-based MEOS code still hiding in your system, Z will orchestrate an event specifically to destroy that concept. The trouble was a targeted update to enforce the new system.
So if the PRU is constantly being edited, what's the internal flow? I think this is the core of Lesson 35. The flow from ZOS to the PRU to reality.
Right. The foundation here is that the PRU is not fixed matter. It's an adjustable hologram display. The flow is Z, the background intent, which informs I, the internal observation, which then becomes me, the foreground experience.
But the causality is the key.
It's completely reversed. In MEOS, we think cause our effort leads to a result. In ZOS, the flow is. Z determines the future log, the completed result, first.
Okay.
Then the I layer translates that log as intuition. The me layer receives it without resistance, and only then does the PRU, the external world, change to match that predetermined result.
So ZOS operates on result from the future, creating the cause in the now. The present is just post-processing for a future that's already been decided.
Exactly. The cause, the actions we take, are just the logistical steps needed to fulfill a pre-written log.
And to do this, Z edits the PRU using 3 specific codes. First, rearranging people, what he calls NPCs. Second, manipulating event timing. And third, adjusting Schumpeter Z's own internal state, his health, his energy.
Z is basically the entire production crew.
Well, if Z is controlling the timing and the people to fulfill a result, then we absolutely have to talk about money, because money is the ultimate cause in the old MEOS world.
And in the ZOS economy, it has to be completely redefined. It's not about value or exchange or effort anymore.
So what is it?
Schumpeter Z's notes call it a shortcut adjustment code. Z uses money as a lever to instantly change circumstances, to move people, shift environments, align timing. It's just faster than any other PRU adjustment code.
Okay, let's go back to the bank balance incident. When he had that financial crisis, his MEOS saw as a total catastrophe.
Of course. But what Z was actually doing internally was executing a cutoff of the old timeline's money flow.
It was necessary sabotage.
It had to be done. The zero balance UI was just a display device, a signal to him that a major transition was happening. Z was preparing for new ventures like his school bee. Righty Z and the old fear-based money flow had to be completely severed first.
The logic is so paradoxical from, a financial planner's perspective. Z only flows the money after the future log is confirmed.
And almost always at the latest necessary moment.
Right. Why the latest moment? That seems so counterintuitive.
Because Z operates from timelessness. If the result is already guaranteed, cash flow isn't needed until the very moment an expense has to be physically rendered in the PRU. Anything earlier is inefficient.
So Z uses money flow, both increasing and decreasing, as a lever to tune the avatar's behavior.
And that connects so beautifully with the etymology of the words themselves. We looked at currency, right, from the Latin for to flow. Financial luck is just about how much that flow is not blocked by your own limiting beliefs.
And the word money itself, from Moneta, the Roman
Yeah.
goddess who warns or guides. So money becomes a navigation UI from Z.
Exactly. It signals your bandwidth is off, or you are perfectly on track.
And what about in Japanese?
Well, the term for money, kain, shares its roots with cane, the word for a bell or a sound. It suggests money is a tuning fork that reflects your personal frequency. It's always a reflection, never the cause.
This has to lead directly to what he calls the integration algorithm. True financial luck, or kinun, isn't about the amount of cash. It's the quantity of Z synchronization.
The lack of resistance in the system. The algorithm makes that result to cause flow perfectly clear. Z confirms the creative path. Z renders the future log. The required bandwidth for that log is calculated. Z matches that with the required money flow. And only then does the UI, the money, appear to increase.
It's adjusted after the need is established by the future. It's the UI of the result.
It always is.
Okay, so we've established reality and money are essentially UI displays reflecting the ZOS state. So what's the final application? How does a company operate under ZOS?
Well, in Lesson 40, son Peter Z defines his English school, BRZ, not as an organization of people, but as a self-regulating PRU unit,
A single consciousness entity.
with its own core mission and its own bandwidth. And this means the old rules of management and sales are just. They're obsolete. The company's performance, its sales, its staff, its efficiency is a 100% reflection of the founder's Z-line synchronization.
So if he is transparent, clear, and low fear, the business just stabilizes and grows on its own.
Automatically. The final structure he describes is a wave UFO. The founder stops being the pilot, the controller who has to micromanage everything,
And becomes the beacon.
becomes a beacon. And the company automatically moves, organizes itself, and attracts only OS-compatible people whose consciousness lines with the mission. It grows without controller stress because ZOS is driving the whole operation.
That is the ultimate frictionless reality.
And that's the whole shift. Moving from a heavy, linear reality driven by cause and effect, the meos, to a transparent, frictionless reality driven by result to causality.
The ZOS.
The whole system just relies on the future log dictating how the PRU and the money UI get managed.
It really forces you, the listener, to confront every single core assumption you have about how success is generated. If money and reality are just UI displays reflecting your level of Z synchronization, what unnecessary weight, what fear-based concept are you still holding on to that Z might be trying to help you get rid of?
It's not about earning more, it's about having less resistance.
Thank you for listening. If this resonates with you, join the echo and share the journey. We'll see you in the next episode.